go.
Hello everybody, I'm Celtic Gaming, and so today we're going to be reading some more, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, I didn't really plan for this, I'm just reading off a website anyways, so we're going to start this off. This time I don't have a personal one that really happened to me, but starting off we have one called Roy. I come down to the kitchen for breakfast on a Saturday morning. My mom and my sister are already up, and they look exhausted. My mom asks, "Did you sleep alright?" "Yeah," I say. "Even after you woke up?" I woke up? Sometime in the middle of the night, I had started screaming. My mom rushed into my room and found me sitting up in bed screaming, "Roy! Roy! Roy! Roy!" She did her best to calm me down while shooing away my pissed-off sister, who had stormed in to find out what the fuck was going on with me. She asked me who Roy was, but I would only say that he was a bad man. I didn't say anything, but Roy is a bad man. I'm shocked as they're telling me all of this, and they're surprised that I don't remember, but then again, I'm the sound sleeper of the house, who can doze through lightning storms, who writes it off as some weird nightmare that I don't remember. Years later, I'm off at my first year of college. My mom sends me a videotape in the mail. She didn't mention it before I had left, as in, "Hey, keep your eye on the mailbox or anything." I press play, and it's my mom taking a video camera through our house. She was moving, and sent the tape as one last walkthrough of the now empty house before she left. It was sweet and a little tear-jerking until she said, "So here's something you might find interesting," when she approached a closet in her bedroom. This closet, aside from being the hiding place for all the Xmas gifts, was also always packed full of old luggage and other odds and ends. You could only go 3 feet in before you would have to start climbing on things to go farther. She goes in with the camera. I see that there are purple crayon drawings on the wall, down at the height where a small child would draw. There are random scribbles, some stick figures, something that may have been a dog. I was already puzzled because I had no memory of ever playing in this closet, and I don't know how I would have drawn on the walls when they were, in my mind, always covered. Then the camera comes to a word on the wall. Roy. My mom must not have remembered that night. She said on the tape, "Roy. I wonder who Roy is." Well then, that was not too scary, I gotta say, but still, it's a little something. But next one is called "You Finally Found Out." A long time before I was born, my parents were renting a house in a different part of our state. My mother never really liked the place. Something just seemed off to her. The feeling still hadn't gone away, even after a couple of months of living there. In fact, as time went on, she began to feel even more ill at ease. She chalked it up to paranoia. My father's schedule was shifted, and he was placed on night duty. The first night she was due to be alone in the house, she had a terrible anxiety attack. Something bad was around her. She could just feel it. She called a friend and had her stay the night. The next day my dad kidded her about being such a wuss. Before my dad left for work the next night, my mother sheepishly placed a large pair of sharp sewing shears under her pillow. She said she felt embarrassed, because of course it was all just her imagination. She had considered the knife, but figured that was too silly and over the top. Still, she wanted something just to focus on, really, that could help her calm her nerves when she went to bed. The dream was very intense, the kind where you have no idea it even is a dream. She said in the dream she got up to go to the bathroom. As she was on her way back to the bedroom, the dreamer suddenly started to feel a tingling sensation all over. Then she couldn't breathe. At first in the dream she was calm, but her breathing wasn't coming. She tried swallowing and felt a hard pressure against her throat, a hand pushing and not letting go. Then the pressure jumped and was under her jawline, squeezing so that her whole neck was collapsed inwards. She fell to her knees. She was suddenly aware that she was making gargling sounds. For some reason, she said it felt like she wanted to retch out her tongue, just so she could get some more air in. There was a throbbing under her ears, and the hallway started tilting. She didn't know why, but she was overcome with only one thought, that she had to get to the bedroom. She began crawling along the hall on her knees, propelling herself along by her elbows, still choking and gasping. The carpet burned against her skin. It felt as if she were underwater. Even slight movement meant by resistance. Finally, she made it into the bedroom. Despite her best attempts to calm herself, her heart was beating so hard, had physically started to hurt her as well. Suddenly, whatever had her neck tightened to the point where she had heard a cracking sound. She thought, "I'm going to die." And this gave her dream self a surge of adrenaline. She thrust her arms up into the bed and grabbed under the pillow. And that's when she woke up. The sun was coming up, and there were fresh light in the room. She was drenched in sweat and lay in the bed for about half an hour, too shocked to move. When she finally convinced herself to get up and swung her legs out from under the blanket, she felt a stinging, sore sensation. She looked down at the worst carpet burns she had ever seen. Layers of skin peeled off, small streaks of red blood on pink skin. It was only after she'd slowly made her way around the bed and towards the door that she found out what had happened to the sewing shears. They were stuck 3 inches deep into the cheaply made wall. My mom packed her bag and had moved in with her sister before my dad even got home. She refused to go back in the house, no matter how much my dad complained about the cost of getting out of their lease. Finally, my dad gave up and called the landlord, ready for a fight. He was surprised when the landlord relented and gave him a get out that barely cost my parents anything. "I guess you finally found out," the landlord said. "Found out?" said the dad. It turned out that about 5 years earlier, a woman had been found dead in the house. The coroner ruled it a homicide, saying that she had been strangled. The woman's boyfriend, who claimed he wasn't anywhere nearby, was arrested and convicted. "I know the boyfriend didn't do it," my mom finished up, "and that's why I tell your dad I saved his life. Because I did. I saved my own, and I saved him from having to spend the rest of his life in prison." Well, that one, I don't know. Sounds a little off, I would say. But, it can be real, I guess. I'm not gonna rule it out. But, yeah. So, next, to the next one, I would say. This one's called Little Girl. A story that my own dad once told me about in a house we used to live in. He kept it to himself for a long time, because he didn't want to scare my mom into making us move. Back when my sister was about 7 years old, she slept in my parents' bed, but one night my dad woke up in the middle of the night to see something strange. He saw a girl that looked similar to my sister, a bit younger than her, standing next to my mother's sleeping body, staring down at her, looking extremely sad. My dad called her name, but she didn't respond. That's when my dad realized it wasn't her. She ran out the room. He gave chase, but she vanished into the hallways. He checked on my sister, but she was still asleep. He swore to his dying day that she looked exactly like another daughter of his might look, staring down at my mother, for who knows what reason. Well, that one was a little shorter, but I guess it's a little more, makes a little more sense. I guess sense, but it's a little more realistic than the last one. So, going on to the next one. This one's simply just called I Love You. On March 18th, 2015, Mitchell Wilkins was glowing with joy as she made the short trip across town to the house of Dinah Lane. She was 34 weeks pregnant with a little girl. The baby was healthy, and she just found a cheap bundle of maternity clothes on Craigslist. Just what she needed to cover that ever-growing baby bump. All she had to do was pick them up. When she reached Lane's home, Lane led her inside, where the two women talked for about an hour. Then Wilkins followed Lane into the basement for the clothes, and the pleasant afternoon turned into a horror film. Without warning, Dinah Lane smashed the lava lamp over Wilkins' head, shoved her into a bed, then used a shard of glass from the broken lamp to cut Wilkins' neck. Her hands went to Wilkins' throat, but there was already too much blood to get a good grip, so she pressed a pillow over Wilkins' face. Losing consciousness, and terrified for both her life and the life she carried inside her, Wilkins tried one final desperate plea for compassion. "I love you," she gasped. Lane grabbed a kitchen knife and replied, "If you love me, you'll let me do this." Then she cut Wilkins' unborn daughter from her womb and let the woman to bleed to death. Miraculously, Wilkins managed to retain consciousness long enough to dial 911, and she was rushed to surgery at the nearest hospital. And in the same hospital, just down the hall, a woman in the maternity ward tearfully clutched a stillborn baby child to her breasts and told the nurse that she'd had a miscarriage. It was only there that the truth came out. Dinah Lane faces 48 years in prison for the charges. So I would say this one could be most likely true, because shit people do nowadays. Okay, so we've got another one right here called Miranda Barbour. According to Miranda Barbour, she was 13 years old when she participated in her first murder, a gangland-style execution in a dark alley in Anchorage, Alaska, under the guidance of the leader of a satanic cult. She shot the man because he hadn't paid the money he owed. She was already addicted to heroin, and she was rapidly moving up the ranks of the cult when the court ordered her to go live with her uncle. Live with her uncle, I apologize for that, in North Carolina. And for a time, it seemed like life was going back to normal for Miranda. That's when she met Alit Barbour, whom she eventually married. Together, they decided that they want to kill someone. They hoped it would bring them closer together. On November 1st, 2013, 18-year-old Miranda Barbour posted a Craigslist personal ad looking for men who hated their wives. It wasn't long before she got a response from Troy LaFera, a 42-year-old man, and they agreed to meet on the night of November 11th. While her husband hid under a blanket in the back seat, Miranda waited in the front for Troy. They had a signal arranged whenever Miranda said, "Did you see the stars tonight?" Elite was supposed to leap out and hold the man down, and that's exactly what they did. Elite slipped a cord around Troy's neck to strangle him, and Miranda stabbed him over 20 times. Then they dumped the body in an alley, washed the car, and they went out for a dinner to celebrate. Both of them were arrested the next day, and while in prison, Miranda confessed to killing 22 people in multiple states. Nobody really believed her, though. I think these ones, yeah, I'm on a page that's Craigslist. Yeah, creepiest true stories from Craigslist. So, I don't know. It's not like it could be totally like that's the thing with Craigslist ones, is that it can be totally real. Like, yeah. So this one I would say could definitely be real. So that's last one for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be seeing you guys later.